Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Mark tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tech It Out. This is episode 243. Hope you're all doing great. Crazy week in tech, that's for sure, between the Twitter takeover drama with Elon Musk, then Amazon reporting a staggering loss of nearly $4 billion for the first 3 months of the year. Wow, what a week. But boy, I love this industry. Never know what's going to happen from one week to the next. And with that in mind, we have a stellar Tech It Out show planned for you this hour with 3 awesome guests. We're going to first learn about the world's most advanced portable electric generator with Anker, not a gas-based one. Then Visa joins us to chat cybersecurity and what they've been doing to keep Visa customers safe when shopping online. Then a sneak peek for you. We're going to learn all about the first officially licensed virtual reality NFL video game simulation coming this year. All of this and more on an all-new Tech It Out, powered by ASUS for those in search of incredible. I'll tell you more about ASUS shortly, but let's get to our first interview. You probably know the brand Anker as a very popular brand that creates those small portable batteries, those power banks that can charge up your smartphone or wireless headphones, tablets, and other devices. Well, you may not know that Anker also makes much larger portable power solutions, collectively called the PowerHouse family, including its latest and most impressive model, the Anker 757 PowerHouse, just unveiled. Joining us to tell us all about it is Adam Weissman. He's Senior PR Manager at Anker. Good to chat with you, Adam. Thanks for carving out some time.
Hey, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Sure. Now, hey, before we talk about the 757 PowerHouse, tell us a bit about Anker. I'm not wrong, right? You're best known for your portable power or your portable battery boosters.
Yeah, we are a 10-year-old company. Actually, last September, October, we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary.
Congrats.
And we are the #1 mobile charging brand because of all of those accessories. So whether it's, as you mentioned, the portable battery banks and power stations, or our cables, our USB-C or lightning cables, and our actual chargers that fit into your wall, we are the #1 mobile charging brand in the world, I think. Wow. So
congrats. But you also have other product lines, right? I think I just got a press release last week about a 3D printer that you've got coming out.
Yeah, for a little background, we actually have 5 or maybe 6 brands now. So Anker is our mobile charging brand, and kind of in the order, we have Soundcore is our audio brand. So all of our Bluetooth speakers and earbuds and headphones go under that. We have the Nebula brand, which is our smart projector line. And then we have the Eufy line, which has both appliances like RoboVax and
cameras.
And the security line. And recently, as you mentioned, we launched the Anker Make line, which includes our first 3D printer, it's called the M5, and it's currently on Kickstarter. It's at something like $6.5 million.
Oh, wow.
So that'll come out in probably next month, I think. We're really excited about it. It does some really cool things. I think one of the challenges of 3D printing is in the past, it's taken so long to print anything that you print. And, after waiting 10 or 12 or 15 hours for something to print, you realize that maybe you did it wrong, or maybe you didn't take into account some other thing, or maybe the print just failed. But we can actually print 5 times faster than traditional 3D printers on the market. So
yeah, that solves one of the pain points without question. Yeah.
Sure.
But I did want to invite you on today to chat power, and not the power banks for smaller devices, but I think you called them power stations. So this is your PowerHouse line that kind of takes it to the next level. Is it fair to say they're kind of like generators, but without the gas?
Yeah. So these are high capacity portable generators, but again, they are They are completely electric, so there is no gas. One of the challenges with people who live in apartments is they're not allowed to use gas generators indoors. It's not safe. There's actually been, some fatalities because people don't realize that they're putting out carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. And these don't suffer from that at all because, again, they are completely electric.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Adam, but it's not just people in apartments or condos, but even in a home, you don't want a gas generator inside, right?
Correct. And the other thing is gas generators are noisy and they're loud, whereas you could have one of these, you could kind of move it around to the different parts of your house if you wanted to use it in the garage and you were doing some sort of tool thing. You could take it to the garage and use it there. You could use it in your living room to power, or your dining room or whatever to power the different gadgets in your house. So,
and is it mostly for emergencies like, natural disasters or power outages, that kind of thing?
They are traditionally used for that. But the other thing that people are starting to use them for is the van life, the RV life, camping, tailgating. You can take them to all these different scenarios, like whether, again, you're powering your Bluetooth speaker or some music, you're using a solar panel to charge it. You can be on the road, set up your solar panels, when the sun's out, and then you have power and you have extra power that you might not have in your van or your RV. So some really great options. And, even things like mobile offices, if you want to take your, again, if you're on that van life or if you're just driving across the country and you want to be able to set up a kind of mobile office in the middle of Tennessee, for example, or, whatever, you can do that and keep, your laptop, your monitor, if you have a router, your phones, your tablets, all that stuff charged. So.
All right. So without further ado, let's chat about your new and top-of-the-line model, the 757 PowerHouse from Anker. Can you walk us through its features?
Sure. So this, again, is our largest power station and powerhouse that we've ever created. And one of the things that we really found is having the ability to charge it quickly was important because, again, you don't want to have something that you can't use. So depending on how you charge it, you can charge it if you plug it in to recharge it, you can charge it in just a little over an hour to charge the entire thing. So it has 1,500 watt output and 1,200 watt hour capacity. So it's really capable of powering anything from home appliances to CPAP machines to laptops, routers, again, all these different things that you can potentially charge. The other thing that we've done is we've used the same kind of battery that are in things like Teslas that can have those really high, longer lifespan than a traditional battery. We've enabled it to have 3,000 charge cycles without having any degradation of lifespan. So even after those 3,000 charge cycles, which is like 8 years of charging, you still get the top 100% battery. So 100% is 100%.
And you said that these PowerHouse devices also support optional solar panels, right? Those are purchased separately, but let's say you're out camping or glamping and you set up a couple of these things that can also charge up the 757 PowerHouse?
Yeah, so we actually just introduced our 625 solar panels, which are 100 watts. You can use up to 3 of them together. And these will be coming in about mid-May for around $330 each. But you can pair 3 of them together. They have a really cool kickstand design that you can fold out and set up so you can get the optimal sunlight angle. And then the other cool thing is they have an integrated sundial. And I know it sounds kind of silly, but while you're charging, you want to make sure that if you only have a certain amount of time to, recharge your powerhouse, you want to make sure that you're getting the most efficient charge. So with that sundial, it'll actually help you do that.
We are chatting with Adam Weissman, Senior PR Manager at Anker. We're learning about the PowerHouse family of portable power solutions or power generators, including the new 757 PowerHouse, which is its top-of-the-line model. How many outlets and ports does it have?
It's actually got quite a few ports that you can use. So it's got 6 AC ports.
Yeah, that's just like the regular plug for the wall, right?
Correct. That's just a regular plug. And that's, anything, again, whatever you're using, whether it's a CPAP machine, you can plug that in. It also has 4 USB-A ports. So that's the traditional rectangular USB that's that everybody knows. And then it has 2 USB-C ports as well, including a 60 watt and a 100 watt port. Also has a DC port, which is, your car charger port, the one that would be in your car.
Is that the old cigarette lighter that we used to call?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Before we wrap up, Adam, and chat pricing and availability, is there a way that you can quantify like how many charges you can get out of this big 757 device? And it does have a handle, correct?
Yeah. So the first question is, does it have a handle? And yes, it has 2 handles, one on each side. So you can pick it up. It weighs, keep in mind, it weighs over 40 pounds.
Yeah,
so,
I figured, yeah. It should have a handle, if not wheels. yeah.
Get this. You can charge up your iPhone 97 times using the 757. Even a laptop, you can charge over 15 times. Things like fans can run for 28 hours. A fridge, a mini or a portable fridge can run for 22 hours. So if that kind of puts that into context of how big this is.
It sure does. Love it. Now, the PowerHouse family starts at $99 for much smaller devices, but going all the way up to the 757, what is the price tag on this and where could we buy it?
So you can actually currently pre-order it on Anker.com. That's ANKER.com. And it's going to retail for $13.99.
And that's out in May.
Correct.
All right. And that's the Anker 757 PowerHouse. But as I mentioned, you do have less expensive options as well, but starting at $99, going all the way up to $13.99. Adam, great to chat with you. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
When we return on Tech It Out, a special guest from Visa, a VP from the fraud department, on how to best protect yourself when shopping online. We'll be right back.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Tech It Out, everyone. This show is powered by ASUS for those in search of incredible. ASUS creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life, and that includes its line of award-winning laptops and desktops. They have accessories like monitors, keyboards, and mice, smartphones, tablets, smartwatches, and much more. For those in search of incredible, visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. That's asus.com/US/radio. Regardless of the data that you look at, there's no dispute that cybercrime is way up over the years, with many attributing the pandemic to the rise in global cybercrime. The FBI, for example, said between May of 2020 and May of 2021, cybercrime-related complaints jumped by 1 million. And it's not just businesses and governments at risk, but regular folks too, falling victim to fraud, ransomware attacks, and more. Fortunately, a brand that you know and trust, Visa, is making huge investments into fighting back and protecting its customers. Joining us on the line to chat is Michael Jabbara. He's a VP and head of global fraud services at Visa. Thanks for your time and your expertise, Michael. Good to chat with you.
Likewise. Thanks for having me, Mark.
I know this is sort of a meaty and often dry topic, Michael, but it's such an important one for anyone that, shops online or spends any time on the internet, which is, I would say, 100% of our listeners. So at a high level, can you please talk to us about Visa's security strategy? And I think it falls into 4 areas, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the way that we look at it is that you have to take a defense in-depth model where you have multiple layers of defense across the board, because there's no single silver bullet to protect against fraud and cybercrime. And we think about it across 2 different dimensions. There is around the prevention side, looking more upstream at these consumer interactions in terms of having a really strong sense of what are the latest fraud schemes that are being cooked up by these ever innovative criminals as they're discussing it on the dark web and kind of poking and prodding at potential vulnerabilities they could exploit.
Right.
Taking that intelligence and then operationalizing it, whether that's through best practices from our technical analysis, whether that's by setting up proactive alerting that lets us know we've identified a gap and we need to go and plug it. And on the other side, further downstream, it's having a ready-made incident response team that's on call on a 24/7 global basis, where as soon as they start to see these anomalies come across the network, they can quickly analyze it, determine whether it's legitimate volume or a potential attack, and then shut it down before before catastrophic losses are incurred. And so if you look at kind of the foundations, kind of to your point, kind of what are the core building blocks that allow us to be successful in this defense in depth strategy, the first is around our people, kind of having that tremendous and deep expertise of 800 of the best cybersecurity experts in the world, and taking that cross-disciplinary approach between cyber, fraud, risk, and data science, and packaging it up all together. You have our technical and technology capabilities that are using the latest in AI, ML, and allowing us to be much more proactive and faster to respond than we would be otherwise. And that's an area that we've invested tremendously over the past 5 years to the tune of about $9 billion.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Just to add insult to injury, like not only are you trying to protect your customers, but you want to do it so they don't even really notice that there's a threat, and to do it quick enough that it doesn't impede the shopping experience and all. Like there's all these like moving parts that must be very overwhelming, but I love the holistic approach that Visa is taking. And no doubt it's no easy task.
You're absolutely right there. The third kind of piece is also around the operational playbooks that we have built up. The expertise and the technology and the data always get all the press, and they're very sexy topics.
Right.
And absolutely, they're incredibly impactful. But the only way for you to truly get value out of those investments if you have a very impressive operational foundation that allows you to exploit those assets. And that's something that we really pride ourselves in terms of measuring the time to contain any given incident to mere minutes versus hours or days where the impact could be amplified, or making sure that our alerting has an incredibly high true positive ratio, because to your point, we have to make this as seamless as in the background as possible to cardholders, so we can't be impacting legitimate interactions. That results in customer attrition, customer dissatisfaction, and defeats the whole purpose of what we're trying to do.
For sure. And with that in mind, it's been said, data is bliss, not ignorance is bliss.
Exactly.
So you've already sort of hinted at this, Visa's huge investment in this space, and that includes in the artificial intelligence or AI realm as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about the data and the impact that it has, but data on its own is fairly inert. You're not going to benefit from petabytes and petabytes of data that Visa has if it's all being processed through Excel. It's just not going to be a very efficient way for us to derive the necessary insights for us to protect our consumers and our clients.
Just to explain to our listeners, a petabyte, that's the equivalent of 1,000 terabytes?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. And a terabyte is 1,000 gigabytes, which is 1,000 megabytes. So just to give you a sense of how much data you're processing on a global scale, no less. It's fun to just take a look at the numbers.
Kind of the short version of that story is it's a lot of data. But again, when you have a lot of data, it's a kind of that blessing and a curse, because you can get lost down a whole host of rabbit holes. So you have to really be effective in terms of how you exploit it appropriately. So kind of the way that we think about it is there's data aggregation, and there is all the modeling that happens on top of that data, the data actioning that results from those data models. And so you have to invest holistically across that entire value chain for you to be effective at this job.
More with Visa's Michael Jabbara when we return, including, did you know that every one of your transactions is scored? It happens in a fraction of a second, but we'll let you know why, as well as some tips to staying safe when shopping online when we continue after this.
Want to follow Mark? Google him. Mark with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out. Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. We are chatting with Michael Jabbara. He is a VP and head of global fraud services at Visa. We're talking about the rise in cybercrime and what Visa is doing to help protect its cardholders. And we'll probably end off in a moment on some tips on what you can do to ensure that things like online shopping is a safer one for you. I understand that every transaction is scored within Visa. Is that right? On your network? And that's how you are able to prevent fraud to the level that you do?
That's correct. And so at any given transaction, there are about 500 different data elements that we run through some of the most sophisticated AI, ML algorithms that exist out there.
Of course, ML is machine learning.
That's correct. And so it goes through and uses those 500 data elements and then returns a score, and it does so in split seconds. So by the time that you tap or dip or swipe your card, and the time that you get an authorization, either approval or decline, it's the blink of an eye. But what a regular consumer doesn't realize is the tremendous amount of computations that are going on in the background.
Yeah, so cool. Is AI then responsible, Michael, for, like, if I use my Visa to buy something online and it's a large purchase, so it gets kind of flagged, and then I may get, like, depending on the bank partnership and all that, they may send you a text saying, did you just buy this? Y for yes or N for no. Or if there was a purchase detected in another part of the country or another part of the world, that's also going to maybe be flagged because it knows that you are in, say, Chicago or New York or something, and something was just purchased in Mumbai or whatever. Is that fair?
Yeah, that is fair.
Yeah.
But again, I would also say, I think it was Pablo Picasso who said that computers are useless because they only give you answers. And so I think that in similar way, like, data gives you answers, but you have to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
And so it's really around having a deep understanding of what are those threats, vulnerabilities, fraud schemes that could potentially be exploited, and then mapping that taxonomy over to our data and using AI and machine learning to get us to those right decisions. Sometimes when we're talking about AI and machine learning, I kind of get flashbacks to my big fat Greek wedding and the father who, like, sprays Windex on every illness. And so it's like, oh, just spray a little bit of AI on it.
Right.
And the problem is solved. It's like, well, yes, absolutely. AI is an incredibly powerful, incredibly useful tool.
Yeah, I was just trying to give a sort of rudimentary example of what AI is at play, if it was accurate.
Yeah, no, exactly right. But effort that goes into securing payments globally at the scale that Visa does, it kind of requires that multidisciplinary approach.
No doubt. What is Visa Advanced Authorization all about?
So Visa Advanced Authorization, that is the risk score that we provide on every transaction that comes across our network.
Oh, okay.
Which uses that AI machine learning technology and the 500 different data elements to provide you with kind of a range of riskiness for that transaction so that our clients can determine whether to approve or decline based on their given risk appetite and their risk strategy.
Okay, thank you. So we had talked about that already. So that's officially called Visa Advanced Authorization, where every single transaction around the world is analyzed and processed. And you
That's
said,
right.
Was it 800 cybersecurity specialists employed by Visa?
Over
Wow.
800.
I thought it was 600, according to my notes. So, wow.
Oh gosh, no.
Okay.
Oh, no.
That's like so 2019.
No, we could use, we need every single one of them.
No doubt, for sure. And you already hinted at this earlier, that the malicious types out there in cyberspace, lurking on the dark web, it's like a cat and mouse game. Every time a company makes some headway into better protecting customers, the bad guys seem to find a way to, circumvent some of these efforts. And it must be just a never-ending moving target that no doubt you take quite seriously. All right, Michael, before we wrap up, without getting too technical, please elaborate on the other cybersecurity services and products that Visa offers. Yeah,
and I think kind of our overall approach is really to continue evolving our product suite, because we all have to remember that the good guys don't have a monopoly on innovation. And so there are fraudsters out there that are ingenious in their own ways, very well funded, very well organized, that are poking and probing to find a gap that they can exploit. And it's something that we've seen, going back to your introductory comments around the impact of the pandemic, which forced a lot of small, medium-sized businesses to open up digital storefronts. Well, fraudsters noticed this trend, and then they started to exploit the relative lack of security expertise and tools for that segment to inject malware on checkout pages that would skim your payment information. And so they would record it, and then they would then take it, sell it on the dark web, or go and make a bunch of fraudulent transactions elsewhere. And so we saw that, and we ended up developing this capability called e-commerce threat disruption, which scans that merchant checkout page for malware that we've identified and have cataloged in our library. And once we identify a malware that has been infected, we work with the service provider to take that down so that cardholders can have a secure shopping experience, and the merchant itself doesn't have to deal with the costs of remediating that type of data breach.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of another example of how we're constantly innovating and investing to stay one step ahead.
For sure. And of course, malware is short for malicious software. And then not just merchants that have been forced to embrace digital storefronts because of the pandemic, but so many tens of millions of people around the world that were reluctant to start online shopping did it for the first time. So they maybe didn't have a choice to shop at retail, brick and mortar, but they really enjoyed all the benefits that online shopping brings. But still, obviously, many are still concerned about these cyber risks. Is it fair to say that if you stick with a reputable credit card company like Visa, which is what I use exclusively, that you've got that buyer protection? And if so, are there any other tips just to minimize any issues when you're shopping online? I guess stay with reputable stores as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, a great point that you bring up there, and that fact that all Visa cardholders have that zero liability, so they're not responsible for any transactions they didn't make. But cardholders can also kind of take a more proactive role in protecting themselves and their payments, whether that's making sure they're signed up for multi-factor authentication so that when they're trying to log into a merchant webpage, they'll get that text to validate this themselves.
Great tip.
Signing up for purchase alerts so that if somebody's making a transaction on their card and it's not them, they'll get immediately notified and they can contact the bank. And
that's what I was hinting at earlier, for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And practicing good security hygiene and common sense. Like, don't click on suspicious links. Don't click on ads that seem too good to be true. Don't give away your password. Don't give away your PIN. I think those are common sense things that we can all do to be that first line of defense against these ingenious threat actors.
Right. And do you still suggest, Michael, that when you do shop online, look for the little padlock, that HTTPS for secure?
Absolutely. That's a great call out as well.
Great. And I often say also that passwords are like underwear. Change them often. Don't leave them lying around and don't share them with anyone. So
that is a great analogy. I'm going to have to use that from now on.
Michael, great to chat with you. Very insightful. Keep up the great work at Visa, and I look forward to chatting with you again, hopefully soon. Thanks again.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark.
Love football? We're going to learn about the very first NFL licensed virtual reality video game simulation when we return. It's super cool. Stay with us.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Check it out. Hosted by Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out, everyone. Along with ASUS, the title sponsor on this radio show and podcast, I also want to thank Western Digital, the parent company to WD and SanDisk and other brands like WD Black. They make some extraordinary backup solutions, external drives like SSD or solid state drives, external hard drives, memory cards, USB sticks, those flash drives or jump drives, whatever you call them, thumb drives. An awesome company. I interview them often on this program. A huge and sincere thank you to Western Digital for your support as well. Head over to westerndigital.com to check out their range of backup products for your computer and other devices. All right, let's continue on with this show. I've got something really cool to share with you, a sneak peek. Football fans, you're going to want to hear this next interview. Status Pro, a sports technology and gaming company, has announced their first NFL and NFLPA licensed virtual reality simulation game in partnership with the NFL and the NFL Players Association. Coming later this year, it'll be called NFL Pro Era. And joining us for an exclusive sneak peek of this VR sports title is Troy Jones, co-founder and CEO of Status Pro. Thanks, Troy, for your time.
No problem, Mark. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, I'm really excited to learn about this upcoming title. But before we get to NFL Pro Era, please tell us a bit about Status Pro, the company.
Yes, for sure. So my co-founder, Andrew Hawkins, and I always say Status Pro is a culmination of our life's experiences. Both of us were former athletes who had a passion to impact the game far beyond just playing. About 5 years ago, we saw an opportunity to take virtual reality and combine it with player data. And we built a desktop application that took player tracking data and the XY grid coordinates from that data and recreated it into a 3D simulation. And what we did with that simulation was projected through AR and VR devices and had players simulate reps outside of practicing games. And this was the birth of Status Pro. We built a training product that could help players simulate reps because in the collective bargaining agreement, the CBA between the NFL and NFLPA, there are certain times of the year where players aren't allowed to line up against a heartbeat. So this idea of practicing and simulating reps against holograms really was solving a problem and presented an opportunity to us to impact the sports far beyond, than what we had initially expected. And what came from that is when we would put the tech headset on people and people would see the technology, we recognized that they were having fun. Players didn't want to take it off. They were throwing the ball around. They were hanging out. So with that, we looked at the opportunity and said, Well, gaming is one of the main use cases for virtual reality right now. And obviously trying to build a venture scale business, you obviously have to pursue the market and where it takes you. So we decided to take that simulation that we built on the training side, extract it, gamified, and thought, well, what happens if we put a fan in a one-to-one simulation of what it's like to be their favorite athlete? We know fans, and today's fans love to hear from the athletes. The players telling their story is prominent in media, and you see it all over the place today. And we felt the next step of that was now allowing them to see what it's like to be that player when they're in the intense situation on the field. So with that, we pursued a gaming opportunity, and after 3 long years, we're able to get the rights from both the NFLPA and NFL, which really was the beginning of us going down this path of democratizing the experience of the professional athlete, which is what we're looking to do at Status Pro. So I say all that to say that, Status Pro is this company that is looking to really just define the metaverse for sports and AR and VR and try to bring value in every way that we possibly can. And that's both on the training side with helping athletes, as well as on this gaming side with showing fans what it's like to be their favorite player.
Awesome. And we're going to dive deeper into the gaming side in our chat today. And just before we talk about the game, let's just clarify what VR is exactly. You mentioned about putting yourself in the cleats, if you will, of an NFL player. So that's pretty immersive, right? So are you seeing the action from like a first person perspective?
Yeah. So, VR is you're fully immersed in a digital world. So think about just being encapsulated in any environment that a creator wants to put you in. And in our world, it's in the shoes of the NFL player. So You're fully in their position. Not only are you just seeing what's going on from their perspective, but you're actually interacting and have the capabilities to compete and interact with the other players and play a full game. And I think that's what's exciting to us about this opportunity, because it's truly the first time where you're seeing it from their lens, kind of with their superpowers, if you will, and taking it to the next level.
Yeah, awesome. And there's been a lot of buzz about VR games for years, but it seems like only the last year or two has it really sort of materialized, I'd say, based on some of the sales data that I've looked at. So I think your timing may be really good.
Yeah, I think timing wise, we're in a really sweet spot. I mean, I think there's been a ton of companies that put a ton of resources into just improving the technology. And I think we're in a place where now the technology is a little bit more ubiquitous, the form factor is better, and the timing of people looking for interesting content has been greater than it's ever been. So I think for us, we're in a awesome spot to bring this experience to life and continue to help impact the adoption of the tech.
And speaking of that tech, I think a couple of VR headsets, new ones, are debuting this year from both Meta, Facebook's parent company, as well as PlayStation and so on. But let's now chat about NFL Pro Era. Tell us what it's all about, coming this fall.
Yeah, for sure. So NFL Pro Era is about putting you in the shoes of your favorite NFL quarterback, or you showing that you have what it takes to lead your favorite NFL team as the quarterback, right? So it's a game in which it's the first of its kind, like I said, in VR. You're from that first person perspective, and you're going to feel the control and command that a quarterback has of his offense. Everybody wants to be the quarterback, right? I played quarterback in college. I tell people it's the hardest position in sports.
Besides the perspective, instead of a top-down view, it's like as if you are wearing the helmet of the QB. Is this similar to like a Madden NFL video game in terms of like the gameplay itself?
So in the gameplay is simulation. So you will be able to play a full game as the quarterback. I think, like I said, just because of the nuance of the technology and the advantages you have, it's a little different from traditional console because you're focused on just that position, right? Like seeing it from their perspective. So you'll be challenged in a different way than you have in the past from traditional console, where you kind of have that broadcast view, if you will.
Right. We're going to learn more about NFL Pro Era when we return, but I want you to Google this to see it in action. It's unbelievable. So just look for NFL Pro Era, ERA, from Status Pro to see what the graphics look like throwing a football from a first-person perspective. Wild stuff. So stick with us. More Tech It Out coming right up after this.
Follow Mark Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want.
We are chatting with Troy Jones, co-founder and CEO of Status Pro, and they are working on NFL Pro Era. This is an upcoming football game simulation for virtual reality headsets coming this fall. Now, before the break, Troy, you were saying that you were focusing on the quarterback first, but there is a possibility to expand that.
Yes, but 100% focused on quarterback. There are other modes in the game, such as our multiplayer sandbox, where you can, you'll have a chance to play catch virtually with your friends in your favorite NFL stadium. So if I'm here in Miami and you're in New York, per se, we wanted to to go see SoFi Stadium and pass the ball around and play mini games, we'll be able to do that. So I do think there's other features outside of the core gameplay as quarterback that are going to gain some legs in this. But again, it's the first of its kind. It's an annually released game. So the goal is going to be to roll out new features each year. And we really want the consumer to grow with us as we build the title, right? So even, when people put on Pro Era for the first time and they play quarterback for their favorite team, we invite the feedback because, again, it's a new category and we want to give the audience what they want. So I do think that you'll see it'll change significantly over time, but we're going to start with that position as from the simulation standpoint.
Because it's radio, Troy, I just wanted to just paint a real picture here. So it's as if you're looking out of the eyes of the quarterback, and then do you raise your hand, like your right hand, as if to throw the football? So I've seen a video, by the way, a little pre-release video. But that's the idea, right? It's as if you are like looking to throw the ball to another player, and you hear the roar of the crowd. I mean, this is really, it's like being on the field.
Yes, it's like being on the field. So you're going to have to catch the snap, take the snap, drop back, and read the defense. And yes, you execute a throw like you throw a real football. The goal has been to try to make it as natural as possible. So the mechanics will feel pretty similarly to how you would throw a football in real life, except you'll probably be able to do it a lot better.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's exactly that. Just encompassing, like I said, the command that a quarterback has with the offense, because it starts and stops with them. So, we're excited about that.
Before we wrap up, talk to us about how it's actually tied to NFL data.
Yeah, great. So I think, one thing we wanted to do when we first, started the company really was try to make our products as authentic as possible. So one advantage that we have is just in the time that we live in, the NFL and all professional leagues are just collecting this player data and looking for innovative ways to use it. So with us, we wanted to drive our experiences in simulation and power it by this player data so it reflects what the game is actually like on Sundays. So our AI system is powered by that player data. So everything from how a player, moves and is rating to how plays are called. They'll be unique to the team. And it's something that we're excited, not only with how we're using it in its initial launch, but how it's going to allow us to continue to get close to a one-to-one example of what it's like in the actual game on Sundays.
Yeah, very cool. I remember a company called NextVR, before they were acquired by Apple, was working on watching sports from a first-person perspective, as if you were right on like the best seat in the house, like on the sidelines. This sounds like the next best thing to actually, being in the game, which is pretty wild. With that in mind, what platforms will it be on? And can you confirm timing? I think it's, like September, October?
Yeah, so we'll be available on Meta's Quest platform as well as PSVR.
PlayStation, yeah.
Yeah, PlayStation VR. And as far as from timing, we're targeting this fall. A lot of stakeholders involved, so we're still landing on a date, but it definitely will be this fall.
Mm-hmm. Don't want to get too off topic, but how hard was it to create a football game knowing that Electronic Arts, EA Sports, had locked in like an exclusive? Was it like pulling teeth, or it actually came all together?
well, we gained a lot of inspiration from what EA has done over the years. And, we saw an opportunity with a new category to potentially bring something to market. And I think, we understood where our swim lane was and was able to carve out a unique opportunity to really define something that's emerging and see what it could be. That's a task in itself. We've been able to get some amazing engineers, developers. Just our team at Status Pro has been great. And I think that played a big role in helping us solidify our spot. So that's why we're just, excited about the launch this fall and seeing what comes of it. You can just go to www.status.pro and look at our website. You'll see a lot of information there. And then if you also check out our social, it's Status Pro on Twitter and status.pro on Instagram. We'll be releasing little teasers every few weeks, and we'll also be coming out with more information leading up to launch. So if you're following those channels and checking out the website, you'll stay up to date.
Awesome, Troy. Thanks so much for your time. Congrats on your work on NFL Pro Era to date, and I'm excited to try it myself. Thanks again.
No problem. Thanks for having me, Mark.
I love when Tech It Out has very diverse guests, and today was no exception. We first spoke with Anker about its portable power generators that are battery operated, not gas-based. You can use it indoors, great for natural disasters, any other emergencies, as well as camping, glamping, RVing, and so on. Then we shift gears and spoke with Visa's head of fraud services about protecting yourself online and all the cool things Visa's doing behind the scenes to protect its customers. Then we wrapped up with Status Pro, the company behind NFL Pro Era, an upcoming virtual reality-based video game simulation that's officially licensed licensed by the NFL and NFLPA. So very cool stuff. If you want to hit me up on social media to say hi, it's Mark Saltzman, Mark with a C, Saltzman with a Z, and I'm on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Let me know what you think of Tech It Out, or if you have any tech questions and so on. Have a great rest of your day, everyone, and a fantastic week ahead. Look forward to catching up with you next weekend for another episode of Tech It Out. Be well, everyone. Ciao.